Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Electric Viking. Fantastic to see you. Hope you had an awesome day. Now, I can't stand what is going on at Toyota. And that is one of the key reasons I started this YouTube channel. Because I hate it when people lie to serve their own interests. I can't stand it. I see it as an injustice. I see it as something that has to be stopped. And, well, this is the only way I can do that. Now, I was frustrated for a while about what Toyota was doing. I was angry. I was annoyed that they were lying to the general public, that they were lobbying politicians, that they were lobbying the United States government, they were lobbying the Japanese government, that the CEO of Toyota, who is also the CEO of the Japanese automobile industry, was using his power and influence along with other people within Toyota to influence the general public and people in power to make bad decisions about the future of the planet. And when I say bad decisions, I mean really bad decisions, and I mean decisions which were not in the best interests of you and me and everyone else living on planet Earth. Now, finally, one day I realized that if you don't like how things are, change it. You're not a tree. Now, this plaque here sits up in my office to remind me of that message. If you don't like how things are, change it. You're not a tree. And that is what is going on right now. Now, my day today wasn't the best. Wasn't going that great. And then I jumped onto theelectric.co and my day became much brighter because that is exactly what people are starting to do right now. And boy, am I glad that they're doing it. Now, I hope that somehow I played a small part in people taking a stand against Toyota and against their lies, against their intentional, willful deception, and against their desperate clutches to retain market share when others are creating better products that are better for the consumer, products that are better for the environment. Now, theelectric.co, well, Fred Lambert from The Electric says that some environmentalists are starting to call for a boycott of Toyota as the automaker keeps using its money and its influence to slow down electric vehicle progress. He says, once thought of as a leader in electrification and efficiency, with the Prius, Toyota sat on its lead and let the rest of the auto industry pass it when it comes to battery electric vehicles. Now, let's imagine you personally invested in Tesla in 2012, and then you sold a few years later for a very small profit. How would you feel that you didn't hold on to that stock when you later find out that's now worth more than $20 billion? Well, that's the position Toyota are in. But even worse than that, Toyota actually did a kind of a JV with Tesla where they made an electric RAV4 nearly a decade ago now. Toyota they were in the perfect position, the perfect place to take advantage of electrification. But they didn't. And you know what? There are people all over YouTube, all over the internet, all over the world who claim that Toyota is magically going to pivot at the last moment, bring around some magic sauce that they've made up their incredible EV. They're going to do an Apple. They're going to come in after everyone else has made a good product and make that product even better. Or they're going to have solid state technology and it's going to be incredible and everyone's going to want them, and Toyota know exactly what they're doing. And I'm here to tell you right now, that is a load of codswallop. That is a load of bullshit. They have no idea. They're in fear for their lives. That is why they're desperately lobbying governments around the world to not let EVs become the car of choice. Now, Akio Toyoda, who is the grandson of the founder of Toyota, he is the current CEO, went into full frontal assault mode on proposals by the Japanese government to slash carbon emissions from the transportation sector by transitioning to EVs. And this guy, he is the chairman of the Japanese Automobile Manufacturers Association, the JAMA. He's leading the entire automotive industry of Japan to their death. And it's fascinating to see this. They're about to be absolutely annihilated by the Chinese. That's going to happen. Whether you like China or not, there are things about China I do not like. I've lived there. I know what it's like. There are good things and bad. But ultimately, this is happening whether we like it or not. And he is one of the key people causing this. In fact, he is the key person. Now, he's obviously erroneously claimed that the Japanese government is playing a huge part in leading to the death of the automotive industry in Japan. Apparently, it's going to decimate, basically destroy more than 90% of jobs within Japan. Toyota claims that, Akio Toyota, not Toyota, Akio Toyota claims that by 2030, 5.5 million jobs will be lost. 80% of the manufacturing exports from Japan in the automotive industry will be decimated if they continue along a path to EVs. So in other words, he and the entire Japanese automotive industry are completely disinterested or completely incapable of transitioning to battery-powered cars. Now, in addition to that, he claims that ICE vehicles don't cause carbon dioxide. He said, in achieving carbon neutrality, the enemy is carbon dioxide, not internal combustion. Well, obviously, that is just all kinds of insanity. Toyota, in other words, are not planning on an EV revival. They're planning on maximum of 200 gigawatts worth of batteries produced in 2030. That would only provide them with 3 million EVs at best, meaning that 8 million of their 11 million current yearly sales would be basically gone. They're going to be gone. Sorry, there's no other way of putting that. Now, while other automakers started to realize that the future is all electric vehicles, Toyota ridiculously has been digging in its heels with hybrids and fuel cell vehicles, or what I like to call full cell vehicles. And they are. They're just ridiculous. Sorry, but I don't care about offending your feelings on this. It's not about feelings, it's about mass. Doesn't make sense. There's no such thing as green hydrogen. There may never be. Now, what's most infuriating people, as Fred from The Electric says, is the automakers' attempts to actively slow down all electric vehicle progress through lobbying efforts. Toyota opposed the newly unveiled reform to the federal EV incentive program that removes the caps on the number of vehicles per manufacturer that can benefit from incentives. Now, they've claimed that it was due to the additional money that is going to electric vehicles built by unions. However, Toyota started lobbying the US government many years ago against updating the EV incentive before a union bonus was involved. In fact, Toyota has been lobbying governments behind closed doors for many years on this issue. They are afraid of losing market share and are willing to pretty much do whatever it takes. There's been numerous people within Toyota who have made disparaging comments about EVs, who have tried to perpetuate their pseudoscience and their ideas such as a hybrid which 100% clean. It's just an idea of, it's just nonsense. Now, this isn't the first time that Toyota has lobbied for initiatives that would slow down EV adoption. They've also sided with the Trump administration's in a lawsuit to stop California from imposing its own emission standards that are stricter than the federal ones. Toyota only dropped out of the lawsuit after President Biden took over the White House and the lawsuit looked hopeless. Now, when it comes to these emissions, when Toyota lobbies against emissions, the first thing that comes to my mind, it is an emotional one. I think of my children and I think, okay, so Toyota is trying to stop my kids and other kids from breathing in clean air. Because the truth is that our children are significantly affected by the emissions, especially when they live in cities, from vehicles, from trucks, from cars. It does affect them. It's one of the things that leads to asthma. It causes respiratory illnesses. It causes cancer. There is numerous evidence of this. So if you deny this, you're just denying science. And this is what makes me angry. Toyota is trying to lobby against you breathing in clean air. Now, since they seemingly don't want to see reason, environmentalists are now calling for a boycott. Paul Scott, a founder of the EV advocacy group Plug in America, is leading this effort. Well done, Paul. Great work. He said, the climate clock is ticking and we have to start hitting polluters where it counts, in the money. I work at an EV dealership, although it wasn't Toyota, and I can tell you that this is our best chance for change, alongside federal legislation. Car salespeople loathe losing a single sale and they hate bad publicity. Toyota deserves every bit of it because they are keeping us addicted to gasoline. Scott staged a protest to boycott the automaker at its Toyota of Santa Monica location. If I could give you some money, Scott, I would. Let me know. Get in contact with me and I'll be happy to contribute to your cause. In a September 21 letter to Toyota, Electric reports that several groups have joined forces to ask for a meeting with Tetsuo Ted Ogawa, President and Chief Executive Officer of Toyota Motor North America, discussed Toyota's lobbying effort against electric vehicles. They wrote in their letter, "Unfortunately, Toyota's efforts to lobby Congress to steer away this vision and pressure members of Congress to reduce funding and impose tax credits for Americans' access to zero-emissions EVs are putting our nation's and the world's transportation and climate future at risk. As a collective group of organizations concerned about the tremendous consequences of such action, we ask Toyota not to stand in the way of congressional funding of the President's vision. Instead, we urge you to fully support battery electric vehicle investments in all modes of transportation and in all related zero-emission EV charging and other infrastructure needs." Now, there is zero chance that Toyota is going to change its stance because it is in fear mode right now. It is in scarcity mode. It is not thinking straight. Here are the groups who signed the letter: Center for Biological Diversity, Cultura, Electric Auto Association, Environmental Defense Fund, Environmental Working Group, Green Latinos, League of Conservation Voters, Mobilify Southwestern Pennsylvania, Mums Clean Air Force, Philadelphia Solar Energy Association, Plug-in America, Public Citizen, Sierra Club, Tri-State Transportation Campaign, Union of Concerned Scientists. As you can see, many of these groups are not extreme left-wing climate freaks. They're just ordinary people who understand the value of this message. They understand the importance of this effort. So, please, let's all support this. Let's support this effort to stop Toyota from lying to the public, from lobbying governments to prevent us having clean air, to prevent us from having better vehicles, to prevent the planet from having really a better future. Let's join together. I'm telling you now, I'm asking you, let's take a stand on this together. Let's all get involved if we can. I'll make another video once I find how we can get involved, even if that's just to put your signature down, even if that's just to say you support this, even if that's just to write some positive comments or to go to their website. Let's all support this cause. Now, I want to share with you a comment from the Morning Line on the electric. He said, "I own a Prius, and prior to Tesla and other traditional car companies moving into EVs, I had a very high opinion of their environmental efforts, but that's long gone now. The way they've dragged their feet and now are actively trying to slow down the EV transition is straight up wrong, and it is bad business. I'll never purchase another Toyota vehicle again." So that is one way we can support this cause. One way we can support it is just not to buy a Toyota vehicle. And honestly, why would you? Nothing they make is compelling. Nothing they make gives you a good enough reason not to choose another vehicle. There's nothing that Toyota make that is exceptional. There really isn't. If you think there is, then you've been had by their marketing. I follow the auto industry extremely closely and have done so for many, many years. And I've seen Toyota go through many court cases here in Australia and all around the world for making products that are inferior. Now, it's true, yes, they do make some products that have been good. It's true that it's hit and miss, like every car company. But many car companies now make products that are reliable. Toyota is not the only one. In fact, most cars are reliable now. Toyota does not have a distinct advantage over anyone. The only way they do is in your mind, in the marketing they've created over the years to convince you that they are reliable, because they've spent hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars on marketing to make sure you believe that. Ampicus responded to this comment and he said, "I totally agree. I'd been a long-time supporter of Toyota and loved our Prius. It would take a lot to get me to ever consider a Toyota ever again. They had a ton of environmental cred and they threw that out the window. Unfortunately, most people I mention this to are completely surprised and still think of Toyota as a green leader. Hopefully, the press coming with this boycott will open people's eyes." That's another thing we can do. Tell your friends about what Toyota is doing. Tell your friends that Toyota is trying to stop us from having better, cleaner cars, from having a better future. Tell your friends that Toyota is not what they think it is. Now, when Toyota's tech came out about 20 years ago, it was better than the competition. It was pretty exceptional, but that was 20 years ago. and now is now. In the last decade, in the last 5 years, electric vehicles have become the new standard. The new standard for not only product efficiency, but the new standard for technology. The new standard for the automotive industry. And Toyota has utterly squandered their position as a market leader. They're now trying to prevent others from beating them. That's what this is primarily about. Now, the crazy thing is that once upon a time, Toyota were leaders in the battery space and they could have continued to innovate. But they didn't. They chose to stand still and now they're about to be disrupted. Let's get on board. Let's support this movement. Thanks for watching the video. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye-bye.